There was a time when cars weren't just machines. They were part of our families. They carried us on long summer road trips, sat in the driveway like proud sculptures, and gave us memories that stuck for a lifetime. You could smell the vinyl seats warming in the sun. You could hear the soft rumble under the hood when Dad turned the key. Those old cars had little quirks, features that made them feel alive. Some of those features disappeared with time, and today they're just memories. So let's take a drive back through the 60s and 70s and remember 10 car features that vanished forever. There was nothing subtle about tailfins. They shot into the air like rocket wings. All chrome and sharp edges, Cadillac, Chevy, Chrysler, everyone wanted the tallest, flashiest fins. Were they useful? Not really. But when one of those cars cruised by under the streetlights, you couldn't take your eyes off it. By the 70s, they were gone. Safety rules, changing tastes, and gas prices killed them off. But for a moment in time, cars really did look like spaceships. If you grew up in the 60s or 70s, you probably remember sliding across a front bench seat. Maybe it was piling in with family, 3 across in the front row. Or maybe it was sitting close to someone on a Friday night drive. Bucket seats came in and made more sense for seatbelts and consoles. Today, the bench seat is just about extinct. But back then, it made the car feel a little more like home and a little more personal. Those little triangle windows, remember those? On a hot day, you'd flick one open and get that perfect breeze without blasting your face. Smokers loved them too, since the smoke just drifted right out. Once air conditioning became standard, vent windows disappeared. Automakers didn't want the extra glass, the seals, the wind noise. They were a small thing, but if you had them, you never forgot how useful they were. There used to be a tiny button on the floor, down by the clutch. You'd tap it with your foot, and boom, the road ahead lit up. No reaching, no fumbling, just a solid click. Eventually, everything moved up to the steering column. Easier, sure, but that little foot button was one of those satisfying details that made old cars feel sturdy. Some cars didn't just drive, they led the way. A Cadillac Crest, a leaping Jaguar, a bird in flight. Hood ornaments told you exactly what was coming down the street. By the late 70s, they started vanishing. Too easy to steal, too dangerous for pedestrians, too expensive to make. Today, they're flat badges. Safer, yes, but a little less glamorous. Every kid remembers fighting over who got to crank the window down. The handle squeaked, the glass slid, and suddenly the whole car filled with wind. No motors, no buttons, just you and that handle. Power windows won out, of course. Easier, quieter, faster. But you don't forget the little things like spinning the crank with both hands just to get it down faster. Sit inside a car from the late 60s and it felt solid. Real wood across the dash. Chrome trim that actually gleamed. Heavy knobs you could feel click into place. Then the oil crisis hit. Costs went up. Automakers cut corners. Plastic replaced wood. Fake chrome replaced the real thing. Practical, sure, but it never felt the same. Cars back then assumed everybody smoked. You had a lighter in the dash, ashtrays in the doors. Sometimes even in the back seat, they slid out like little drawers, always ready. By the 80s, habits started to change. Smoking warnings grew, and cup holders took over. Today, those ashtrays are gone, replaced by phone chargers. It's funny how much a small detail can tell you about the time. Big, shiny bumpers you could sit on, lean against, even stand on if you had to. They looked like armor, and in some ways, they were. A low-speed tap usually left just a scratch. New safety rules in the mid-70s required softer bumpers. Out went the chrome, in came rubber strips and plastic covers. Safer, yes, but nothing catches the sunlight like a polished chrome bumper. If you were a kid in the back of a station wagon, facing backwards, you know the feeling. Waving at strangers, making faces at truckers, watching the world roll away behind you. Safety concerns eventually ended it, and by the 80s, wagons gave way to minivans and SUVs. That rear-facing seat disappeared. But if you ever rode in one, it wasn't just a seat, it was adventure. Cars today do everything better. They're safer, faster, cleaner. But those old features, those little quirks, gave cars personality. They gave us stories. Which one do you remember best? Drop it in the comments. And if you liked this trip back in time, hit the like button, subscribe, and join us again as we rewind America, one memory at a time.